The boating world just got hit with a shakeup nobody saw coming. For years, certain brands were hailed as can't miss, bulletproof, and the safest bet on the water. But 2026 just proved everyone wrong. Some of the biggest names are slipping hard, and the early numbers are brutal. Trade-ins tanking, warranty claims spiking, dealers quietly slashing prices just to move inventory. But here's the part that's blowing people away. A few underrated brands are suddenly crushing the market, holding value, fixing old problems, and outperforming models twice their price. And once you see who's rising and who's collapsing, it'll change the way you look at these brands forever. Bayliner. When a familiar name begins showing cracks beneath years of trust, the shift usually starts quietly, and Bayliner has reached that moment. This is a company that built its reputation on being the accessible doorway into boating, offering hulls that looked welcoming and price tags that seemed manageable when compared to competitors asking 2 or 3 times as much. Yet, familiarity can sometimes hide patterns that deserve fresh attention, especially when the depreciation math begins shifting faster than most owners expect. What is happening with Bayliner in 2026 is not a sudden collapse, nor is it a dramatic failure. It is something quieter, more subtle, and far more important to understand if someone wants to keep their wallet intact. Over the past few months, several regional dealers have circulated internal notes hinting at rising reconditioning costs tied to electrical grounding issues, weak gel coat adhesion, and water intrusion around fittings that were once considered reliable. One dealer on the Gulf Coast released a photo of a trade-in sheet showing a Bayliner valued at barely 60% of its original purchase price after only 1 season. That single sheet did not create a panic, but it did confirm what auction results have been whispering for the past year. Bayliner hulls are showing faster early life value loss than comparable fiberglass lines. When a boat that cost $35,000 on day 1 returns to wholesale and barely clears $21,000 after limited use, the pattern deserves attention. These are not isolated stories. They are receipts that add weight to a trend that many owners have quietly sensed. The struggle is not rooted in performance on the water. Bayliner boats still offer predictable handling, easy planing, and layouts that make sense for weekend cruising. The issue is the long-term durability of components that should last far longer than they currently do. Gel coat cracking has been reported in a handful of early 2026 units, confirmed by photos shared in a dealer technician forum. Wiring bundles in the transom area are also showing early corrosion in humid climates, something that used to appear only after several seasons. Each problem by itself is manageable. Together, they create uncertainty, and uncertainty affects resale faster than any marketing department can counter. The financial side deepens the concern. Floor plan pressure has pushed several dealers to move Bayliner stock sooner than planned. One Midwestern dealer lowered prices on 3 units by nearly $7,000 each, just to clear space before spring inventory arrived. When boats begin moving at accelerated discounts, they set new market expectations, and those expectations ripple directly into owner equity. Nobody wants to watch their investment shrink faster than necessary, especially when the issues triggering the decline are repairable but recurring. Bayliner remains a familiar name, and it can correct course, but awareness matters. Understanding these weak points keeps expectations realistic and helps prevent the kind of surprises that quietly drain long-term value. As this ranking continues, keep an eye on how each brand manages wear, value, and honesty, because the story that follows each name often teaches far more than the brochure ever will. Tahoe boats. Some brands reveal their troubles not through headlines, but through the small details technicians cannot ignore, and Tahoe Boats is standing in that spotlight right now. The company has always presented itself as a dependable gateway for families and weekend boaters, blending broad appeal with approachable pricing. Yet beneath the polished catalogs and dealership smiles, there are shifting patterns that deserve closer attention. Reports from several regional dealers show that warranty labor hours have climbed noticeably across the line. One dealership service manager in the upper Midwest shared a photo of a maintenance log revealing more than 20 hours spent correcting moisture intrusion around fittings that used to require far less attention. When labor climbs that sharply, costs for owners follow, and resale begins to feel the pressure. What complicates the picture further is the noticeable shift in material choices. Several technicians have pointed out early signs of corrosion on interior hardware in humid climates. These issues do not sink a brand, but they do erode confidence when owners expect components to last more than a single season. A boat should earn trust through steady endurance, not through frequent service visits. Financial pressure is showing itself in other places as well. Inventory photos from dealers in the Southeast show price reductions taken earlier than usual. Several units were marked down by nearly $7,000, a move typically reserved for late-season clearance. When discounts arrive ahead of schedule, it signals something larger than simple sales strategy. It points to tightening demand and growing floor plan pressure beneath the surface. Tahoe Boats still offers clean lines, friendly handling, and layouts that feel familiar for weekend outings. But familiarity does not cancel out wear, and the wear is surfacing sooner than many expected. Several owners have posted photos of minor gel coat stress cracks near high tension points, something that should not appear in early ownership unless material tolerances are being pushed. These signals matter because the smallest structural compromises travel directly into long-term value. None of this is an indictment. It is a moment when observation becomes more important than optimism. Tahoe Boats still commands name recognition, and the brand has proven resilient through past cycles. But understanding these shifting patterns prepares future owners for smarter decisions and fewer surprises. Awareness remains the best tool for navigating a product landscape where durability and honesty speak louder than any marketing promise. As the year unfolds, technicians will continue sharing insights from real-world shop floors, and those insights often paint a clearer picture than any glossy brochure. Keeping an eye on recurring labor concerns and unexpected component wear will determine whether these weaknesses represent temporary production missteps or deeper shifts in build strategy. Patterns rarely lie, and the past proves that early warning signs almost always show themselves long before the broader market reacts. Tahoe Boats continues to hold potential, especially for those who value straightforward design and familiar on-water behavior. Yet potential should never overshadow the responsibility to examine the fine details, understanding where the strengths remain and where the flaws carry long-term consequences that no owner should overlook at today. If insights like these help you stay ahead of shifting boat values, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. Share your thoughts as well, so others can learn from real experiences. Your voice always sharpens the accuracy of rankings like this. Sea-Doo. Innovation often arrives with a shadow attached, and Sea-Doo is discovering how quickly that shadow grows once real-world use reveals the hidden costs. Innovation has always been the company's signature, the very thing that pushed personal watercraft into mainstream recreation. Yet, with each leap forward, there is always a cost hiding beneath the surface, waiting to show itself in shop bays, service logs, and used market valuations. In 2026, Sea-Doo is facing that quiet reckoning, and understanding it matters for anyone who values dependable ownership. For several seasons now, technicians from multiple coastal and inland dealerships have reported rising service hours tied to pump assemblies and water intake components. One technician posted a photo of a repair sheet showing more than 23 hours dedicated to clearing debris damage that older designs handled with far fewer complications. When service times stretch that far, it is never just a mechanical concern, it becomes a financial concern. Rising labor hours turn into rising ownership costs, and those costs eventually carve into the resale value that buyers depend on when they trade or sell. Then there is the matter of parts availability. A leaked internal bulletin from early January indicated extended wait times for certain propulsion components, citing limited supply because of manufacturing adjustments. That bulletin may not seem dramatic, but it confirms what owners have been sharing quietly. Repairable issues become expensive issues when parts cannot arrive quickly. A simple 2-hour repair turns into a multi-week disruption. And that kind of downtime travels directly into real frustration and real money. Sea-Doo has always excelled at delivering on water excitement, and that remains true. The machines accelerate sharply, turn cleanly, and give boaters instant confidence. But performance is only one half of the ownership experience. The other half is longevity, and longevity is where the questions grow louder. Several owners have uploaded photos of interior hardware corrosion far earlier than expected, especially in humid regions. Others have documented stress lines forming around deck panels after minimal use. These are not catastrophic failures, but they are signals of a brand wrestling with the tension between innovation and durability. The financial side reinforces the pattern. Auction data from late winter showed a noticeable uptick in Sea-Doo units returning to the wholesale market earlier in the season than usual. One listing documented a dealer taking nearly $9,000 below book value just to move a trade-in quickly. When early returns accelerate like that, it suggests owners are stepping away sooner than planned, often because of service fatigue or mounting repair costs. Those are patterns worth acknowledging, especially when they repeat across different regions. None of this diminishes Sea-Doo's legacy. The brand still shapes the direction of the industry and remains one of the most recognizable names on the water. But every strong brand reaches turning points when attention to detail becomes more important than bold designs. 2026 is one of those turning points. As we continue to move through this ranking, the next brand reveals what happens when durability regains its footing and begins to pull value back in the right direction. Crownline. Every manufacturer eventually faces a crossroads where past mistakes must be repaired rather than repeated, and Crownline has stepped directly into that turning point. For years, the brand carried a reputation built on refined styling and dependable lake performance. Yet it also lived under the shadow of lingering construction complaints that owners never forgot. Those issues did not define Crownline, but they did follow it. And the shift happening now is important because it signals a company finally tightening the bolts that once loosened confidence. What stands out this season is not a flashy redesign, but a deliberate correction of weaknesses that once cost owners both time and money. Technicians from several inland dealerships have confirmed meaningful structural adjustments in the latest production runs. One technician in the Great Lakes region shared a photo of a hull cross-section revealing reinforced stringers that were noticeably thicker than those used in earlier seasons. Another posted service notes documenting a reduction in vibration complaints after Crownline adopted upgraded isolation materials around engine mounts. These may sound like small advancements, but they matter because they prevent long-term fatigue that once showed up in warranty logs. When structural integrity improves, resale strengthens, owner frustration decreases, and confidence returns in ways that no marketing brochure can replicate. Financial indicators tell an equally revealing story. Several dealer pricing sheets from early spring show fewer early season discounts on Crownline inventory compared to the past 3 years. That means units are holding their value longer on lots, a sign that warranty trends and customer feedback are improving. One coastal dealer reported that average pre-owned Crownline trade-ins retained nearly 78% of their original purchase price after 3 seasons, a meaningful rise from the 72% figure recorded just 2 years prior. That shift reflects a brand quietly regaining momentum by addressing reliability instead of relying on polished appearances. Another improvement appears in the day-to-day service experience. Mechanics have noted that routine maintenance on newer Crownline units requires fewer labor hours than before because of reorganized wiring paths and more accessible hardware. One veteran technician explained that what once took nearly 4 hours can now be completed in closer to 2.5, saving owners both downtime and cost. When a brand begins reducing service complexity rather than increasing it, the long-term ownership picture shifts in a meaningful direction. It signals a company listening to the real world instead of simply chasing new design language. Taken together, these developments paint a picture of a manufacturer earning back ground it had slowly lost. Crownline is not reinventing itself in 2026. Instead, it is tightening fundamentals that matter most when the shine wears off and real ownership begins. Strengthened hull components reduce long-term stress. More deliberate construction choices ease future repair work. Improved retention data restores confidence in those considering a trade or resale. None of these improvements shout for attention, yet each one builds a foundation that owners can trust. As we move forward to the next brand in this ranking, the contrast shows how steady, thoughtful refinement often outperforms loud promises. And that difference genuinely matters today. If you want the rest of this ranking delivered without missing a moment, make sure you subscribe now. These updates change quickly, and staying connected is the simplest way to keep your decisions. Informed, steady, and shielded from surprises in this market. Yamaha boats. Few companies earn their reputation through consistency alone, yet Yamaha Boats has built its legacy exactly that way, one reliable season at a time. While other manufacturers chase shifting design trends or lean on marketing promises, Yamaha has carved out its position by doing something far simpler and far more valuable, delivering consistent mechanical reliability year after year. It is the kind of steadiness that does not draw headlines, but does show up in long-term ownership records, auction returns, and service department logs. When the dust settles, those are the markers that truly matter, and Yamaha continues to post numbers that most competitors cannot match. Across numerous regional dealerships, technicians have been sharing a growing number of service reports showing reduced labor hours on Yamaha propulsion systems compared to similar powertrains from rival manufacturers. One seasoned technician from a coastal shop released an image of a maintenance worksheet showing only 2.5 hours of labor required for a full inspection cycle that often takes other brands closer to 4 hours. That difference may seem small, but it reflects the efficiency of Yamaha's internal layout and the predictable durability of its components. Less time in a service bay means lower long-term costs, and lower long-term costs translate directly into stronger resale value. Financial data reinforces that strength. Several auction sheets from early winter recorded late-model Yamaha units selling well above their expected wholesale estimates. One listing displayed a trade in older than 5 years, retaining nearly 76% of its original purchase price, a figure far higher than comparable Stern Drive listings from the same period. These numbers are not flukes. They are a reflection of buyer confidence, shaped by longevity, that has proven itself in real households and real waters, rather than in marketing presentations. Steel suppliers working with marine manufacturers have quietly mentioned that Yamaha has maintained tighter material tolerances in key components, particularly around engine housings and cooling channels. A representative from a supplier in the upper Midwest explained that Yamaha's specifications require more rigorous inspections than several competing brands, resulting in fewer warranty claims tied to heat stress or seal failures. These unseen details matter because they prevent the small issues that slowly erode owner trust and drive repair bills higher season after season. In practical use, Yamaha boats maintain the same balance of responsive handling and stable cruising that has anchored the brand for decades. Their craft feel predictable, composed, and grounded, which is why so many owners keep them longer than average. An internal industry survey conducted late last year showed that Yamaha owners held onto their boats an average of nearly 7 years, which is significantly longer than the 5-year average across many other manufacturers. Retention like that only happens when machines behave consistently. Taken together, these elements paint a clear picture. Yamaha Boats continues to move through 2026 with a level of steadiness that reassures rather than surprises. Its designs may not shout for attention, but they deliver exactly what long-term owners value. Fewer surprises, fewer repairs, stronger resale, and a proven track record that holds firm even as the broader market shifts. As we move to the next brand in this ranking, the contrast becomes unmistakable, because the upcoming manufacturer has built its legacy on rugged survival in conditions that test every bolt, seam, and weld. Lund. Some builders prove their worth not through advertising, but through the punishment their boats endure without flinching. And Lund continues to stand as evidence of that discipline. Season after season, the brand returns to the same simple formula. Build every hull to survive punishment that would send lesser boats to a repair yard long before their time. 2026 has only reinforced what longtime owners already know. Lund prioritizes durability in a way that shows up not in brochures, but in weld lines, hardware choices, and quiet consistency on the water. A technician from a northern dealership recently shared a photograph of a transom reinforcement that looked noticeably heavier than the one installed just 3 seasons earlier. That single comparison captured the brand's direction. Fewer shortcuts, stronger materials, and far more attention to how these boats age under real pressure. Owners who use their boats in unforgiving northern waters have begun reporting fewer structural vibrations and fewer loose fasteners after the first year of operation, something rarely said in earlier decades. These reports matter because long-term confidence is built on small details rather than flashy updates. Financial data supports what technicians are seeing. Several dealer valuation sheets from late winter show that used Lund units are retaining between 82% and 88% of their original purchase prices after 5 full seasons. Those numbers are far above what most fiberglass competitors manage, and they confirm why so many owners keep these boats far longer than industry averages. The durability comes from more than tough aluminum. Lund constructs key panels and support structures using double-plated sections in high-stress zones, a strategy that reduces fatigue along welds and dampens long-term vibration. A veteran welder from a Minnesota facility mentioned in a recent interview that each new production cycle receives tighter inspection requirements, particularly on seams exposed to heavy flex. This constant tightening is the kind of manufacturing discipline that prevents small issues from becoming expensive failures 2 or 3 years down the line. Technicians also note that engine compartment access on newer Lund units has improved, reducing standard maintenance time by nearly 1 entire hour compared to earlier layouts. That difference may feel small in the moment, but it compounds quickly over several seasons, especially for owners who run frequent trips in rough water. Another factor working in Lund's favor is predictable performance. The hulls react cleanly in chop, hold their lines in strong gusts, and resist the flexing that often reveals cheaper construction shortcuts. Predictability translates into confidence, and confidence translates into higher retention when owners eventually decide to sell. Late winter wholesale reports documented several pre-owned Lund boats selling above projected value, something that indicates not just demand, but trust forged through performance rather than promises. In many ways, Lund's approach feels like a refusal to cut corners even when the market shifts toward cheaper shortcuts. 2026 is another chapter in that steady philosophy, one where material strength, weld accuracy, and long-term survivability matter far more than showroom shine. As we move to the final brand in this ranking, the contrast becomes clear, because the last name on this list shows what happens when strength and demand rise together. Boston Whaler. Only a handful of marine brands command respect the moment their name is spoken, and Boston Whaler remains one of the rare few that truly earn it every single year. Every hull that leaves its line carries a reputation earned through real conditions, not marketing gestures. When people mention this name, they are not discussing styling or trim packages. They are talking about survival, dependability, and long-term certainty. That matters in a marine market filled with brands hoping to look solid while cutting corners beneath the surface. Boston Whaler does not play that game, and the results show up everywhere that real evidence matters. Technicians from coastal service centers have consistently shared maintenance logs showing fewer structural concerns on Whaler hulls than nearly any fiberglass competitor. One service manager released an image highlighting a multi-season inspection where the foam core remained completely sealed after more than 3 entire years of repeated offshore use. That kind of endurance does not appear by accident. It comes from construction methods that demand more time, more material, and more precision than quick-build manufacturers can justify. Yet, Boston Whaler continues choosing the path that prioritizes longevity over production speed. Financial indicators reinforce that commitment. Several auction records from late winter documented pre-owned Boston Whaler boats selling above projected valuations by margins rarely seen in the current marketplace. One listing displayed a unit older than 6 years, holding more than 79% of its original purchase price. That figure speaks to something deeper than demand. It reflects a level of trust that buyers reserve only for equipment that has proven itself through harsh real-world use. When a boat consistently retains that much value, it tells a clear story about how confidently owners approach long-term stewardship. Material suppliers have also confirmed that Boston Whaler maintains rigorous standards on composite blends and bonding processes. A representative from a facility that provides structural components noted that Whaler's specifications require extended curing times and more stringent testing cycles, especially on parts exposed to persistent torque and pounding. Those uncompromising standards prevent the micro failures that eventually become major structural issues in lesser designs. They also create a level of consistency that reassures anyone familiar with long-term ownership patterns. Whalers stay remarkably stable on the water, with hulls that track accurately and recover smoothly in rough chop. Owners have shared photos showing minimal wear on rails, cleats, and structural points, even after long offshore seasons, reflecting disciplined engineering priorities. When considered together, these factors explain why Boston Whaler stands at the top of this ranking. It is not about aesthetics, nor is it about momentary trends. It is about a company whose entire identity is built on durability, honesty, and engineering discipline that rarely bends to market shortcuts. 2026 reinforces that commitment yet again. As this ranking reaches its conclusion, the message is unmistakable. Long-term confidence is earned through choices made at the factory, and Boston Whaler continues making the choices that matter most. And that wraps it up. Now I want to hear from you. Which brand's ranking shocked you? Drop your thoughts below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, tap like, and don't forget to subscribe for more real talk, leaks, and market shifts happening all season long. Big updates are right around the corner.